They never could remember my name, so they were always like, "Yo, ball guy, what's up?" And I kind of liked it. My great grandmother was a coffee roaster in Yugoslavia, and that there's this spoon that used to be big, now it's a little bit of a nub, has been passed down to the mothers because their job was to take green coffee over an open fire in a kettle and roast coffee. And I remember going to Yugoslavia because I was born in Germany to meet my grandmother's people. And I remember I was real young, and I walked into a house with a dirt floor, and there was a hole in the ceiling, and in the middle of the floor was this old lady sitting on a box roasting coffee. So I guess it's in my blood. I think I've been roasting coffee 12 years. Professionally, probably 7. I don't have a business model. So I just watched Fight Club, the movie, and I decided that I would start a business that I would never tell anybody about. And the only way, rule number 1 of Fight Club is you never talk about Fight Club. And if you have to ask, you don't know. So I really thought it was great because it was that whole, I can't tell you, which makes people want to learn more. I went to a crackhead in Pittsburgh and told him I needed a logo, and he drew a picture of my face and spelt guy wrong. And I went out and bought a roaster and a bunch of green beans, and then we moved back to Watauga County, and I started roasting on the porch and roasting out of the back of a pickup. Man, just a lot of people have helped me over the years. I spent a lot of time learning how to roast coffee, and what we found is specialty coffee properly roasted sells itself, and it doesn't need a lot of hype.
He gave me a complimentary cup of coffee, and he also gave me about a ½ pound of Mexican single origin coffee, wrapped up in a 5-pound wholesale bag, like a pound of ground beef, right? And he handed it to me, and he said, "Here, take this home, try this out. This stuff will rock your face off." Clearly, you can see that worked. But that right there was my personal introduction into craft coffee. That's where things changed for me. I still remember that pot of coffee the next morning when I took my first sip of that coffee that next morning, how very different it was from the stuff that I had been drinking previously. I said, man, I've been missing out. I had no idea that coffee could be this good. Underneath it all, Don is a very benevolent individual, and he truly cares about people at the end of the day.
Businesses can do good, and that people are not a business transaction, that they're important, and that not everything involves money, and not everything has to be about money, and not everything at the end of the day makes any sense if it was all about money, because when you die you can't take it with you. So I wanted to have a business model that empowered rather than exploit coffee growing communities, and then I realized that really I wanted a business model that empowered my local community as well. Well, coffee's so people, and kids, moms, people, coffee's really opened up doors for me to hang out with really wonderful people, which kind of fit my DNA with the learning of a language, because it was all very relational. A lot of hands touch coffee. Started reading about it, and I'm always fascinated with culture anyway, so to try to understand where the coffee comes from and the profile that is in the cup that historically has been known since the 17th century was really cool, trying to live into what that coffee should be. So that's why we got into Costa Rica, and Costa Rican coffee so heavily because I had a friend who lived in Costa Rica in coffee country, and I would always go see him, and I started buying green coffee, and we would drink different coffee. And I started to, through my friend, really understand how coffee shaped a culture and an economy and a perspective of life. And then I realized that Guatemala, Panama, El Salvador, obviously Costa Rica, Mexico, all of these countries have their own kind of cup profile, even though it's coffee. And then just how it came from Ethiopia in the 15th century, got smuggled into Yemen, then the Dutch took it down to Java and created a blend that, I mean, if you think about it, an equatorial people that were being exploited for colonization changed the face of a culture in Northern Europe because of a cash crop that was exported called coffee, and a new language and a new culture and a new habit developed over that commodity, which just blows me away because that commodity within 200 years spread around the world on wooden boats. How do I keep Bald Guy from dying? I don't know, man. Every year I have amazing obstacles overcome because of small business in a small town. There's always a new upstart that's trying to cut my feet out from under me, and it's difficult. But I've decided every year that if somebody's going to break Bald Guy Brew, it's going to be me. I'm going to do everything in my power just to trash it. So every year I start out trying to screw up Bald Guy Brew, and every year we succeed. So
Bald Guy's product is so exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his coffee it's unlike anything, you know, you've ever tasted. It's just fantastic. It's organic. It's fairly traded in all cases. In some cases, it's directly traded, and it's locally roasted. You know, I don't know what he does to his coffee over there, but you know, whether he's got unicorns over there roasting or, you know, Don is referred to as a master roaster.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he is very skilled at his craft. And the coffee that he produces is unlike anything that you've ever tasted.
goals and objectives for Bald Guy Brew. I've probably got about 7 years left since my oldest is 14 and my youngest is 11. And, you know, man, I just want to teach my kids how to work. I want to help them buy some cars. Hopefully there'll be college money, even though I don't think that's going to happen. And I want them to know that their dad tried to make a difference in people's lives through business. If you don't do what you love, you're going to burn out real quick. I love people, and I love coffee, and I love what coffee can do with people.